The first time I saw her, she was standing behind a wall of transparent energy glass, silent and still like a statue. The officials around me whispered the same word again and again. Barren. I had heard it so many times during the negotiations that it had started to lose meaning. Commander Elias Ward, the tall blue-skinned diplomat, said, adjusting the silver insignia on his chest, as agreed in the treaty between Earth and the Varelian Empire, you will be bonded with one of our royal bloodlines. I folded my arms. And you chose the one nobody wants. The diplomat didn't seem offended. It is practical, he said calmly. I looked again at the alien woman behind the energy barrier. She was unlike anything I had ever seen. Her skin shimmered faintly like moonlit water. Long strands of pale silver hair flowed down her back, and delicate markings glowed softly along her temples. Her eyes were a deep violet that seemed almost luminous. And yet there was something else. Sadness. Loneliness. She looked less like a princess and more like a prisoner. What's her name? I asked. Princess Lyra of House Viral. And she's barren? The diplomat nodded. According to our medical councils, yes. She cannot produce heirs for the royal line. Therefore, her political value is limited. Limited. That was a polite way of saying discarded. And so you're giving her to a human, I said. A symbolic union, he replied. Peace between our species. Peace sealed with a princess nobody wanted. I exhaled slowly. Does she even have a choice? The diplomat hesitated. That told me everything. The ceremony took place 3 days later. Varelian rituals were strange, but strangely beautiful. Bioluminescent flowers floated in the air like glowing stars. Music vibrated softly through the walls of the grand chamber. Hundreds of alien nobles watched from their elevated platforms. And at the center stood Lyra and me. She wore a flowing white robe woven with threads that shimmered like starlight. I leaned slightly toward her. You okay with this? I whispered. Her eyes flicked toward me in surprise. You ask as if my answer matters. Humor me. For a moment, she studied my face carefully. Then she said quietly, I expected arrogance from a human soldier, not kindness. I'm not always kind, I said. But I'm not a jerk either. That earned the smallest hint of a smile. It was the first time she looked alive. The officiator began chanting in the Varelian language. Light spiraled around us. 2 glowing rings formed in the air before settling gently onto our wrists. The crowd applauded politely. Just like that, I had an AlienBride. Our residence was located on the outer ring of the Varelian capital station. Not a palace. More like a comfortable exile. The place was quiet. Too quiet. Lyra spent most of the first week walking the balcony gardens alone, staring out at the endless stars. One evening I joined her. You're free to leave if you want, I said. She looked confused. Leave? Yeah. I mean, this marriage is political. I won't stop you from doing whatever you want. She studied me again with that same careful gaze. You truly mean that? Of course. She looked away toward the stars. Where would I go, Commander Ward? I didn't have an answer. Over the next few months, we slowly began to understand each other. Lyra was intelligent, curious, quietly humorous when she allowed herself to be. And despite what the Empire believed, she wasn't weak. Far from it. One afternoon, she watched me repairing a broken service drone in the workshop. You enjoy fixing things, she said. It's relaxing. Most warriors prefer destruction. I shrugged. Creation's harder. She knelt beside me, observing the wiring. May I try? Be my guest. Within minutes, she had rewired the drone faster than I had planned to. I raised an eyebrow. Princess, were you secretly an engineer? She gave a soft laugh.
No.
But I spent much of my childhood alone. There was that word again. Alone. One night, everything changed. Lyra collapsed in the corridor. I caught her before she hit the floor. Lyra. Her skin felt warm, far warmer than usual. Her glowing markings pulsed rapidly. I carried her to the medical chamber and activated the emergency scan. The holographic monitor flickered to life. Then it froze. Then it beeped loudly. I frowned. What the hell? Lyra slowly opened her eyes. What is happening? I don't know. The scanner beeped again. Then it displayed a second life signature inside her body. I stared at the screen, then at her, then back at the screen. That's impossible. Lyra's voice trembled. What is it? I hesitated. You're pregnant. Silence filled the room. Lyra stared at me in disbelief. That cannot be. That's what the machine says. Her hands trembled as she touched her stomach. But the council declared me barren. Well, I said slowly, looks like their science might be wrong. But deep down, I knew something else was happening. News spread faster than a solar flare. Within hours, Imperial ships surrounded our residence. The same diplomat who had arranged our marriage arrived with a group of armored guards. His expression was no longer calm. Commander Ward, he said sharply, we require immediate access to the princess. Lyra stood beside me. She will remain with me, I said. This is an imperial matter. And she's my wife. The diplomat's eyes narrowed. The child she carries may be the first hybrid between our species. Do you understand what that means? Yeah, I said. Everyone suddenly cares about the Barren princess. Lyra's hand tightened around mine. The diplomat stepped closer. She must be taken to the royal research facilities. Research facilities? I repeated. That sounded a lot like laboratories. Lyra spoke softly. I will not go. The guard shifted. The tension in the room thickened. The diplomat sighed. Commander Ward, do not make this difficult. I met his gaze. Too late. We fled that night. A small freighter, a stolen clearance code, and a desperate jump into deep space. Lyra sat in the co-pilot seat, staring at the stars rushing past. You have abandoned your world for me, she said quietly. I abandoned a bad situation. I corrected. But why? I smiled slightly. Because you're my wife. She looked at me like I had said something unbelievable. Weeks passed as we hid among the outer colonies. Lyra's pregnancy progressed quickly. Hybrid biology, apparently. But something else was happening too. Her glowing markings had changed. They were brighter now, stronger. One evening she sat beside me watching a distant nebula swirl in brilliant colors. I remember something, she said suddenly. What? When I was a child, the royal healers performed many tests. Tests. She nodded. They were searching for something called the starborn gene. That sounds important. It is ancient Varelian mythology. A rare genetic trait said to create children capable of uniting civilizations. I leaned back in my chair. Let me guess, they never found it. They believed I did not possess it. And now, Lyra placed my hand gently over her stomach. The child moved. A soft pulse of light spread beneath her skin. My eyes widened. That can't be normal. No, she whispered. It is not. The truth arrived months later. Not from the Empire, but from the child herself. When she was born, the entire room filled with radiant light. Our daughter's eyes opened immediately, violet like her mother's, but with tiny golden sparks inside them. Lyra held her carefully, tears in her eyes. She is beautiful. I nodded, speechless. At that moment, every system in the ship suddenly activated. Navigation screens lit up. Star maps appeared. Signals from dozens of distant alien civilizations began responding to a broadcast none of us had sent. Lyra stared at the displays in shock. "The starborn gene," I whispered. "Your daughter just introduced herself to the galaxy." The Empire found us soon after. But they didn't come with soldiers this time. They came with diplomats. Ships from other civilizations arrived as well. It turned out our daughter's birth had triggered an ancient network hidden across the stars, a signal recognized by countless species. A symbol of unity. A new beginning. The Barren princess they had discarded had become the mother of the most important child in the galaxy. During the final meeting with the Varelian Council, the same diplomat bowed deeply to Lyra. "Your Highness," he said humbly, "the Empire requests your return." Lyra looked at him calmly. "No." The entire chamber froze. "I will not return as a political tool," she continued. "I will return as a leader, or not at all." The council agreed. They had little choice. Years later, the Varelian Empire changed forever. Lyra became its first queen chosen by the people rather than by bloodline politics. Our daughter, Oriel, grew into a child with incredible abilities, able to communicate with multiple alien species naturally. And me? I was still the same human mechanic who liked fixing broken things. Only now I lived in a palace. One evening, Lyra joined me on the balcony overlooking the capital city. "Do you ever regret it?" she asked. "Regret what?" "Accepting a barren bride." I laughed softly. "Turns out that was the biggest mistake your empire ever made." She smiled. "And the best decision you ever made?" I looked at her, then at our daughter playing with glowing alien creatures in the garden below. "Yeah," I said. "Definitely." Lyra leaned her head against my shoulder as the stars shimmered above us. Once, she had been the forgotten princess no one wanted. Now she was the queen who changed the galaxy. And it all started with a lie about a barren bride and the truth that followed.